Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. The meeting will come to order. This is a meeting of the Lakeville Conservation Commission. Today is Tuesday, the 29th of March. All right, is it 29th?
Correct.
All right, good. We have a short agenda tonight, so let's get started. Derek, I think you're on first if you want to step up to the microphone.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
So, Mr. Chairman, yes, so I'm in the process of purchasing a property at 2 Morrison Way in Lakeville. And there, in purchasing it, I was doing my due diligence, speaking with the building commissioner. And he suggested a few things. One of them, because of lot size, go to the zoning board of appeals and ask for a special permit for that. So I do that, and they approve the special permit conditional upon Board of Health and also the Conservation Commission. So in doing so, I contacted you, the chair, just to see what the process should be. But it's an existing house that the gentleman currently owns. It added the second floor. And in doing that, he actually did a lot of closing a porch in the front, I think, and the back. And but nothing, I should back up a little bit. There was a septic put in 2016 that was permitted, and that was closed out. So I just wanted to play it safe and make sure the Conservation Commission was aware of this property. And my plans on it is to finish putting the vinyl siding on, finish roof shingles, and everything else is going to be interior on the house. But per zoning board of appeals, I just needed to get your blessing from the Concom.
I think our chairman might be offline here.
Oh,
Bob, are you there? I saw Bob drop out and Laura, his daughter, come on.
No, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Oh, okay, good. Did you hear what Derek said?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So I have a number of questions, but I'll hold off until, was that it, Derek? Did you have anything else?
no, other than, asking, just the commission take a look at the property prior, just to make sure.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've been there a number of times, and like I said, I've got a few questions, but I want to hear from the rest of the commission first. So if anyone wants to get started.
I had a question. How didn't you have a hearing with ZBA on this property?
Yes, I did. On
How was the final outcome on that?
they approved it subject to Board of Health requiring it stays a 2-bedroom, which it will, and also Conservation Commission signing off.
Okay.
Are you doing anything that's going to disturb the soil, Derek?
No, absolutely not. The front lawn is all grass, and I just want to finish the inside of the house. And of course, I have to pull electrical, plumbing, building, because none of that was done. So I'm trying to correct that situation, basically.
You said siding?
Yes,
The only thing on the outside?
most of the siding's done. There's probably maybe, I don't know, 10 square missing, maybe not even that.
The room that's on the, I guess it's the backside, that faces the water, faces the pond. Is that the back?
Yes,
All right, there's a PVC handrail up against the door frame. Is that for future use for a deck or something?
I'm not sure what his plan was, but as far as my plan, I'm not going to extend the deck there at all. It's going to stay just the way it is. I actually, Bob, what I'd like to do is take out the 2 sliders and just put 2 windows there. That way it can't adapt.
And the reason I bring it up is when you look at the plan that you gave us, there are two lines for defining the buffer zone. They're a few feet apart. One is at the water's edge, the other one is at the beach edge. But in both cases, if you were to put a deck or do any construction on that side of the house, you would be in the buffer zone.
Yes, I completely agree with you on that, but my plan is not to do that.
Cutting trees or pulling stumps, any of that?
No, nothing. Nope. There are a couple stumps there. I would ask the commission if they allow stump grinding. These trees probably cut down years and years ago.
We allow it. It's better than pulling it.
And if I have to come in front of the board for that, I would definitely do that if that's required. by the
What I usually do is tell applicants that should you go ahead with that, to just notify the office before you get started. We wouldn't need another hearing. We'll include it as part of the approval.
Okay, that's understood.
I haven't seen a lot. How much of that is paved?
Actually, none of it's paved.
Oh, very good.
There is a road along the south side of it, but that's public road.
Right. Very good.
Did anyone else have?
Yeah, I would, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
So just to be clear, Derek, you're not doing anything outside other than finishing siding and things that are attached to the building.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Was there anything done that wasn't approved by the commission before?
I'm not sure how to answer that because I've only been familiar with the property for probably the last 2 months. So I really can't answer that, Mark. But yeah, that's a tough one.
So with the RDA, I mean, it's not really required for doing siding. Is there anything else that would need to issue an RDA for that you're going to do?
Nope, the septic is already in, the well is there. There really isn't, but to be on the safe side, I thought this would be the best approach. That way, the zoning board of appeals knows that you guys were brought on board with this.
And it's the documentation, I would say, that says like a -3, that he's not impacting the wetland at all, that I think he wants her to have the documentation should it come up after the fact.
Yes.
With the possible exemption for stump grinding at some time in the future.
Well, that's why you would do a -3, because you
3.
could add that as a condition.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so on the plan that you provided us that shows the septic upgrade or whatever it was in the footprint of the house, all the work that's on that plan has been completed already?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, I have no further questions.
I'm good.
I don't recall, is there a dock on the beach anywhere?
There are docks on the beach, none for this house. The property that abuts the water 40 feet back is all part of the association. So currently, there is no dock and no dock presented at this point.
Okay, so no plans to put any kind of a walkway or
No.
anything like that?
Nothing at all.
All right. That's all I had for questions. Anyone else?
Ready for a motion?
I think so.
All right, motion to close the hearing and issue a -3 determination with 2 conditions. If the stumps are to be pulled, please notify the commission. And anything that, there is a little place, I think you said on the outside, that that siding has to be put on, that anything that flies into the lake that makes it that far, it's been really windy, will be removed immediately.
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? No? All right. All those in favor say aye. I'll take a roll call. Josh,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Fred,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So motion carries. You're in business.
Good luck.
I'd like, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank the commission for this meeting and for the consideration. I appreciate it very much.
All right. Well, good luck.
Good luck there.
Very much.
Very good. All right, next on the agenda, Joe Chamberlain,
Yes,
With,
I have a
an extension for an order of conditions.
extension the board issued, the commission issued to me 3 years ago. It
Are you
expired-
stepping down, Joe?
What's that?
Are you stepping down?
Are you going to recuse yourself?
Oh,
Yes.
well, I'm applying now. I'm in the position, well, first I recused myself. Now I'm
Okay.
the applicant. Right, now I'm the
There you
That's
applicant.
go.
okay.
Right,
The only
that's-
thing I wanted to point out was on the agenda, it says 54 Highland Road, which I think is what the actual number of that lot is. But on the signature sheet, it says 52. Unfortunately, I'm 20 miles away from my file in Lakeville. I'm in the Wareham house, so I can't really check on it. I just noticed it this afternoon. I suggest that if you decide to approve the extension, that it be dependent upon Bob finding my original letter from my engineers, which would accurately represent what the lot number is. I believe it is 54.
Do we have a filing number or an SE number?
Yep. I'm
820 is the file number.
820, SC 192, 820.
And I looked at the letter earlier and I didn't see. Oh, yeah, the letter says 52.
The letter says 52.
Yep.
Well, then I guess it's 52.
Okay, well, if there's a change otherwise, let me know tomorrow. Otherwise,
Okay.
we'll stick with 52.
Would it be wise just to reference the SE number and we made a motion to continue or to grant the extension?
The SE number is always included anyway.
Yeah, it's always there.
Right, but that would save all confusion of which address it is if we use the SE number.
And on the item to be signed, it also has block 1, lot 11E. Assessors map, the plat number is 32, block 1, lot 11E. And it's got the registry of deeds, book and page number. So, we'll get, I just wanted to make sure it's correct. Those are the little details that years down the line can come back and haunt you.
Right. Well, as of right now, your extension permit reads 52 Highland.
Okay.
And so the file number, which is also already put on the form, is 820.
So the form that you guys will be signing is accurate then.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can I ask, there's no place in here that says what it was for. What was it for, Joe? What's the extension for what?
That for a house lot for a proposed house that I'm going to build.
And the plans for the house and everything are on there?
Yes.
I
Yep.
remember we looked at that, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't see it in my packet. Maybe they came online, but when I picked up my packet, it wasn't in there. So I'm just curious. I remember it vaguely.
Yes.
Just curious.
You walked the wetland line, I remember.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
I walked it with Lenore.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I walked it with you before that, before you even, when you were first thinking about it, Joe.
Okay. I think you walked it maybe a second time because I remember you mentioned some of the flags where they were.
Okay.
I had, was it Gray, Bob Gray?
Yep, Bob Gray.
Bob
Yep.
Gray did it.
And we need to, in answer, I guess, to Mark's question, it needs to, or no, was it you, Nancy, that asked the question, why it was being done? And that's because if time goes by, if it's more than 3 years,
Right, no,
it
I didn't
expires.
ask why it was being done. I get why it's being done. He doesn't want it to go away and have to do it again.
Right. After 3 years.
That's it. Okay,
I just sit and watch the price of lumber go up by the minute
I know.
We all know.
and the
We
supply of stuff coming on the supply chain getting smaller and smaller.
Ready for a motion?
Yes, we are.
Do you plan on
Alright.
doing the work in the next couple of years, Joe?
Hopefully.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the request for an extension permit for 52 Highland Street,
Highland Road, Highland Road.
Highland Road, I'm sorry. Highland Road, SE 192-820.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Josh,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Joe.
I recuse myself.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sorry, Mark's gonna vote for in your place. Fred
Aye.
and Nancy.
Aye.
All right, and I for mine. All right, so the motion carries. You can start building tomorrow.
The record shows I'm back on board.
All right, the only other thing on the agenda right now is some meeting minutes, so first one is January 11th. Someone want to make a motion or any revisions?
John, nothing.
No, nothing? All right, can I have a motion then?
A motion to approve the January 11th, 2022 minutes of the Conservation Commission as drafted.
Second.
We have a second? I didn't hear.
Yes, second.
Oh, okay. Motion and second. All those in favor, just say aye.
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 Good. January 25th? No changes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from January 25th,
Okay.
2022.
Very good.
I'll second that.
In a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I wasn't here. I wasn't
wi-
here. Josh
That's
wasn't
okay.
here. and Fred wasn't here.
Motion carries anyway.
Okay.
Yep.
Mm.
And finally, January 27th.
That was a very limited meeting as well. I think that was a special meeting on a Thursday. I was at the planning board
Oh,
meeting.
yeah.
I think it was only Fred.
It
Yeah.
was
Joe.
John, Fred, and I, and Bob.
All right. Well,
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from January 27th, 2022.
very good.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please just say aye.
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 Okay, good. Now, finally, it's not on the agenda, and I don't know if we consider this new or old business, but in any case, Mark, our town planner, is going to do a little presentation.
Yes, hi.
Mhm.
I met with Bob last week and we went over something the planning board's been working on since I arrived here a couple months ago, which is the open space and residential development bylaw that was just submitted for a Springtown meeting. So we suggested that I meet with the commission to explain it, answer any questions. But basically an open space residential bylaw, it's a cluster bylaw, which allows a developer to ask for permission to have a smaller, same number of lots, but smaller lots. Therefore, they build less roads and so on and so forth. And in exchange, the town land is preserved, whether it's agricultural land or open space land or even parkland. So if you'd like, I know Laurie emailed out the draft. I can kind of run through it really quick to explain how it works here, how this will work.
Did everyone get a copy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the first section is obviously the purpose of the bylaw and the fact that a special permit's required. So it's not as of right, it's by special permit from the planning board. They're then required to come in for just a quick pre-application meeting to inform the board. You know, perhaps some of the board members might know something about the property. They can have some sort of discussion, kind of review kind of perhaps a concept. Then we have the dimensional and design requirements. And this is where it specifically says you cannot get more lots for the OSRD than you can under a regular preliminary plan. So if you can get 10 lots under a preliminary plan, you can only do 10 lots as a OSRD. And then the next place is it allows you to reduce the lots to as small as 30,000 square feet. So 30,000 square feet allows the construction of a 3-bedroom septic design. So some developers may want to build smaller homes and do a 3-bedroom design, but if they want to do 4, they would have to do 40,000 square feet or do an overall septic calculation for the entire subdivision under Title V rules. So then we have basically the setback requirements and frontage. Setbacks are similar, though we've moved the allowed closer setbacks toward the street, and we've reduced the frontage from 175 to 100 feet. The board can allow 20% of the lots, so let's say 2 out of 10, to have frontages reduced to as little as 50 feet. To allow some flexibility of design to a developer. And then there's some other requirements for screening and buffering and accessory structures and so on and so forth. The next big section is on dedicated open space, where it says at least 50% of the land area needs to be dedicated as open space. It can be reduced to 40%, depending on the characteristics of the parcel and, in constant, discussions with the developer. Obviously, the open space can be used just as open space for wildlife habitat and conservation, but it also be used for various forms of recreation. As well. Detention and retention basins can be located in the open space, but not counted toward the minimum size, and there's some other requirements here as far as, the open space can be in more than one parcel in different shapes. This is a key thing, that the open space shall be open to the public, and so that it's accessible to the general public, not just the residents of the subdivision. So the next section talks about ownership of the open space. So the first thing is that it can go to the Conservation Commission. The second thing would be it could go to the Select Board and accept it for a park. And the third allowance would be conveyed to a nonprofit organization, which is in the purpose in which they are like a land trust. So. So those are the 3 options for the ownership of the open space. The board was quite concerned about allowing the open space to be owned by a homeowners association. They were concerned about it could be sold off, they could attempt to develop it, they could try and do other things that would benefit the association and not the general public of the town of Lakeville. So that was a large concern, which is why that's not allowed under this bylaw. Then here we have more the actual application process, and the actual application process after the initial consult is that they submit your regular preliminary subdivision plan along with a concept plan for the OSRD. This way, a developer doesn't have to spend a ton of money to get feedback from the board and see if their plan is something that the board would approve. So they both get reviewed, and one of the key parts of reviewing the preliminary subdivision plan is to ensure that all of the lots on the preliminary could be built. So that kind of sets the baseline for the number of house lots. So then the board reviews the concept plan, and that would, if approved, would be move on to the next step, which would be the actual special permit application for the OSRD and definitive subdivision plan. So that would get filed next, and that's where, you know, the drainage calculations and the final design of roadways and you know, public access to the open space or construction, if the board requests parking, you know, all those things would be shown on the plan. Covenants would be reviewed as well, and you know, anything else, just like a regular subdivision, would be submitted and reviewed. You know, if it's a huge project, you know, there would be a traffic study like anything else. So and then the planning, the next section is on the decision, and that the planning board incorporate any comments, and basically you know, require performance guarantee. This is similar to other things, other subdivision, and then there's specific criteria that the board looks at, and then if, of course, someone wants to revise the special permit, that they can file to do so. And that is the basically a quick rundown of the open space bylaw.
Okay. So let's hear any comments. Get us started.
I had a quick question, probably simple one. In the dedicated open space, you stated in paragraph 5, dedicated open space may be one or more parcels. Shouldn't there be limited to the number of parcels? I mean, you could, one or more could be 10.
Yeah, I think that just allows some flexibility if there's some unique characteristics of the property. Let's say one edge is along a brook or something, and we want to protect a buffer along that edge of the property, but there's a lot of good upland there. It's closer to the main road where they want to develop, so that's perhaps another parcel in the back that might be a better for the remainder of the open space. So, I mean, it allows flexibility. Again, this is a special permit, and if the planning board isn't really, doesn't feel comfortable with the layout, they don't have to approve it, so.
Yeah, okay. When I was in Maine on the planning board, we just passed the same process, but they required the open space to be one single located spot. They didn't have more than one parcel. That was just what they did. It worked out quite well, frankly.
Yep.
Mark, is there a requirement of any minimum size for the proposed development? Would it have to be more than 10 house lots, for instance?
No, there's no minimum size requirement.
No minimum or maximum?
No,
Okay.
there's neither. With such a large lot size requirement to begin with of 70,000 square feet and 175 feet of frontage, it just didn't seem that if someone's submitting, you know, to set a minimum, because it's probably going to be at least 3, 4. So you're looking at something that's close to 5 acres anyways, as far as the minimum size. And a lot of towns will have set a minimum, but the minimum sometimes can be as low as 2.5 acres when they have 20,000 square foot lots. So I just didn't seem to make sense.
One of the single biggest problems I see developing with this is how that open land is used and who determines how it's used. And if there's going to be any kind of suggested regulations or codes or anything, either limiting or proposing things that can be done. For instance, if you have open land, I'm sure you could probably do a little garden. It might be a community garden or something like that there. On the other hand, you might have a couple of people on, maybe there's a 15 lot special division, and the open land is rather large, and the next thing you know, it's turned into a dirt bike course. which
Well,
is
that's,
good. Yeah.
well, first off, yeah, so to answer a couple of those points, motorized vehicles would not be permitted in the open space land.
Okay,
Number one is as part of the approval by the planning board. Secondly, under the statute, which that set up conservation commissions, there's the whole second part of it refers to the Conservation Commission accepting land, acquiring land, purchasing land, raising funds, how to use funds, and as well as setting rules and regs for Conservation Commission property. So in discussions from the planning board to the commission, you guys can set rules and regs for the use of the conservation property once it's acquired by the board. So, besides the non-motorized vehicles, you can set other regulations.
Mark, it seems to me that if we have, if it's open to the general public, we're going to have difficulty monitoring and maintaining that. Who's going to, set all of this up, and who's going to be the enforcement agency?
Well, I think a couple things. Well, first off, if it's adjacent to homes, right, people will generally, I found in other communities where we've had similar bylaws, people will adopt the open space. People who live there will walk their dogs, they'll stroll, and they will, it's part of their neighborhood. So they quote monitor, and if there's a problem, they generally will inform the town, whether someone dumps something or whether people are misusing the property. So the commission has the ability to even fine people under the statute. So so there's authority there for the commission to do certain things. And of course, if it's really bad, I mean, they call the police like they would on any other property.
Mark?
I think in our discussion in the planning board, and I actually talked to Nancy about this too. And Mark, I don't know if you got a chance to talk to the highway superintendent, but as far as being a custodian of the property, that wouldn't be the Conservation Commission's job to pick up litter. We would hope that it would be maintained, and this would all be done during the special permitting process to communicate with open space, the highway department, Conservation Commission, to set up some mechanism where hopefully if it was adopted and permitted, that the highway department would take it under their purview to, again, clean up any trash or police those things. So it's not a Conservation Commission thing. It would be just a paperwork thing for the Conservation Commission to adopt it with a conservation restriction to protect the open space.
In Alfred, Maine, we did this, and the open space was actually turned over to the homeowners association, and the homeowners association plan had to be submitted to the planning board and approved by the planning board, and that became part of the approval for the they call it a cluster development. So it had to be part of the plan is what there was going to be done with that property, and it was be turned over to the homeowners association to monitor and take care of it. It only happened on one particular piece of property when I was there. It turned out it was working okay when I left, so who knows how it would turn out finally.
Good. Joseph?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Fred. On that piece of property in Alfred, Maine, did the people involved with it, is there some kind of standardized little sign identifying what this property is and what its possible uses are?
Actually, there wasn't.
So,
Mark Mark with a C has the answer to this one.
okay, so when I was in Foxborough, we probably approved at least 15 of these while I was there. And I mean, I don't recall, I mean, we had a full-time agent, but he didn't drive around weekly or monthly to all the properties and inspect them to make sure that they were in any sort of condition, you know, and people didn't abuse them. I mean, if, you know, someone called him about a complaint, he would go out there, but generally most of them are just dedicated open space, and they don't require regular maintenance. They don't require anything of significance. They were all accepted in Foxborough by the town Conservation Commission. They ranged, you know, in size from, you know, all sorts of subdivisions, from, you know, 4 or 5 lot ones to, I don't know, we didn't have like 20 lots or so. So that was never really an issue. I mean, like I said, people will feel, even though it goes to the commission, that it's part of their neighborhood. You know, you're creating more type of neighborhood housing as opposed to here where, you know, you don't know who your neighbors are because we have such large house lots and frontages. So, but here you're creating more of a neighborhood, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, as somebody who constantly has to deal with people on public land that's open to the public, I guess that's my concern. Once you open it to the public, it's all well and nice. The homeowners will be walking their dogs. Now it's open to the public and a bunch of other people come with their dogs. And that's just one instance. I guess my hardest part of it is it being open to the public, and I guess it depends on the size. But my question is, when's the public hearing? I really would like some time to really take this all in, and there has to be a public hearing, right? Mark Knox, before our town meeting?
It does.
Yes, it was submitted to the clerk today, and the public hearing is on the 28th of April.
Okay.
Josh?
Yeah, Mr. Resnick, I think this is a great idea. I believe you said that just because the lots will be smaller, you don't get additional lots than what would normally be, you know, allowed on that piece of property. What is the driving factor for a developer to want to do this? I believe it'd be cheaper because you wouldn't have to clear as much land, but usually 4-bedroom houses are worth more than 3-bedroom houses. So what's the driving factor for them to want to do this?
Well, different developers, you have different niches of house styles and housing types that they build, even though it may still be a single family home. Some are, for example, again, in Foxborough, we had 2 local developers that built really nice high-end homes, but not everybody who developed in Foxborough, and there were other local developers who like to use this to build, you know, the 3-bedroom, you know, simple 2-car garage, 2.5 baths, you know, not the McMansion type homes. And they use this on numerous occasions. So again, it's not, you know, it depends. I mean, a developer says road construction is very expensive. So the savings in road construction, engineering, and site construction is actually quite significant. So it is a benefit. Now, not everyone will go down this path, particularly those builders that build the very high-end homes. They will not always want to do this, but they do. I mean, I showed the planning board a couple layouts, and one of them was from a high-end builder who built homes that were primarily ranches, high-end ranches, for, aging adults, let's say. There was no age restriction, but that was the primary goal, was to make it single-story living. I mean, they had walkouts on, depending on where in the subdivision it was, and some had second floors, but so again, it depends who the builder is.
And Mark, we prefer mature home builders.
Yes.
That's the only kind we know.
Mr.
All right,
Chairman, I have
thank you. Fred, go ahead.
I must have missed something. Did you say it's only 3-bedroom homes allowed, no 4 bedrooms?
If you want to reduce your lot size to 30,000 square feet, which is the minimum size, you would only, the builder would be restricted to placing a 3-bedroom home on that lot. Because of the Title V requirements of 10,000 square feet per bedroom. So that is the restriction. If he did 40,000 square foot lots, he would be able to do a 4-bedroom home.
Huh. That wasn't the case in Maine, so that surprised me.
Well, the entire town's considered a water resource district, and then probably half the town is considered a surface water resource area. So those overlapping regulations really pretty much put that kind of limitation on septic design in the community.
You said something else that I misunderstood, I'm sure. 10,000 square feet per bedroom?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big bedroom.
No, of land area, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's a huge bedroom.
You got me there. Okay, sorry. Okay.
I have a question for the commission as a whole. On page 3, item number 2, there are 2 things that concern me. One is stormwater management on open space, and the other is active recreation. Both of those look like they could be pitfalls. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, wouldn't they have to come before the Conservation Commission for approval of what they were going to do with that open space?
Well, if it's dedicated open space for parkland, then that would be submitted to the selectmen for their acceptance as a park. So in subdivisions over 25 house lots, the planning board could require a park to be constructed of some kind. Maybe it's just a field, maybe it's a playground. But once you start increasing the number of people, the need for active recreation increases. So it's an option. It doesn't mean that, if the open space land is of unique natural, features that or a wildlife habitat, we're certainly not going to require the developer to knock down and level that area to build a field. So again, it's all site specific, and it just gives the option for there to be a park.
So, but Mr. Chairman, so you're talking about number 3 too, also?
Hang on a sec.
About the detention and retention basins?
Yes, that would be included.
So it would have to be, is it my understanding that it would have to be more than the 50 or 40%, more than the 50% if the basins were going to be located in the open space, but not counted towards the minimal. So what the minimum could be 40? could be 50, or what was go back a page to see.
Yeah, it could be reduced down to 40. But you would subtract out the area of a basin.
From the 40?
Yeah.
No, from the total land area before you do the calculation. So if you have a total of 10 acres and your drainage area basin is half an acre, you really only have 9.5 acres to do the calculation of open space land.
Question from Mark.
And it's, wait a minute, what, just a follow-up, I'm sorry, Joe. And that there's 50 and 40% of upland, correct?
Yes, of the upland area.
Okay.
They can, obviously incorporate the wetlands in the open space area, but it needs to, we're talking about the calculation is upland area.
And Joe? Yeah.
Mark Resnick, you've had what, 30 of them in Attleboro, you said?
Well, there's probably been 30 of them in Foxborough.
In Foxborough, rather.
I was there 10 years and we probably did an average of one a year, maybe a little more, 1.5 a year.
And the natives are not in an uproar, right?
No, they've been,
They're
doing it.
self-policing in a sense?
yes.
Okay.
And if it's any help, and I know Joe and Bob, you'll know this, but the lot size that's being proposed with this is the same lot size that the town accepted back in the 70s. So all of neighborhoods like Highland Park or Parkhurst,
Yep.
exact same lot size as those neighborhoods.
Yep.
So by doing something that's been done in town, we're trying to preserve 50% of the space. Not necessarily wetlands, not necessarily a resource area, just open space. It's what the master plan called for. So we're just trying to be proactive to save something that's open space instead of seeing it all be bulldozed and just being big giant house lots.
All right, good.
Well said.
Thank you. Someone else? Or is that it? I've got a few minor things, but I'm not going to hold everyone up for it. So what's the timing again on this?
So
April 28th, Mark?
yeah, the public hearing is on the 28th at 7 o'clock is when the meeting starts at the meeting room at the police station.
And are you looking for an endorsement from us, or do you want us to take a vote? Or would you?
No, I mean, it's not required by the statute that there be necessarily any vote. I mean, if the commission wants to support it, that's great.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
If that's, go ahead, Mark.
Nancy had called me about a week or so ago when we discussed this briefly on the phone. She had voiced a lot of concerns. So that's why I asked Mark to reach out to you to come tonight. Because, in this, the Conservation Commission could be on paper the custodian of these. And we wanted you to understand and know that we want your input if one of these developments did come in front of us. That we're not looking to unilaterally do something without the input of the Open Space Committee or the Conservation Commission. And obviously, it could be the Board of Selectmen if it's going to be a park. But I think more eyes looking at it and more information is always a good thing. And I think this board, with the experience and history, we definitely wanted you to hopefully give support to it, but also give input.
Yeah, well, I would like a little bit more time to mull over it a little bit more before we do anything before the meeting. Josh?
Yeah, Mark, you said that the town, might appoint who is in charge of these open spaces. And I believe you said they could be designated as a park. Would the Parks Department then, oversee it, or would it be overseen by the select board? And if it was the Parks Department, is there a possibility that these open spaces could become another Ted Williams or John Pond Park or some of the places we have around town already.
Oh, yes. I mean, if it is deeded instead of to the commission, but to the selectmen for active recreation over time, the select board, that's why I kept stumbling. I was like, that's not right anymore. So over time, let's say we just required the development of a little parking area and a playground, but there's 20 acres because it's a big subdivision in order for the board to require that. So let's say 10 years down the road, there's a need for more soccer fields. They could vote to design and lay out and construct a soccer field there and expand the parking. I mean, that is what parks are for. So, so.
No, I think it's a great idea.
But I think also to Josh's question, the Parks Department or Parks Commission wouldn't be the custodian because they really don't have a budget to do that. I think, like we earlier referenced, Mark, it would be the Highway Department that would be the custodian of those.
Yes, as of nowadays, the Highway Department does all the maintenance and the Parks Department manages the facilities and the use of the facilities and leasing out things, properties, what they have. So.
Sure.
So Mark Knox.
Yep.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. As a planning board before the open hearing, do you accept comments in writing from people?
I would certainly, we would accept those. I don't have any problem with that.
I just like to do some research, see how it works other places. Like I say, my huge concern is the Conservation Commission just doesn't have, we can't take care of what we have. We oversee one property, that's the Vickers property. And probably new people on the board don't even know it. We just don't have the ability or capacity. And as far as land trust goes, you know how much trouble we had with Wildlands Trust. I practically had to go beg them to take the parcel over on Route 44. It just worries me because I just don't think we have the ability to watch over these areas. And we haven't. We haven't before. We have to rethink our whole way of thinking if we're going to start taking properties under a concept.
I get it, Nancy. I get it. I think that putting something in place like this, even if the homeowners association thing isn't on the table right now, the current planning board has a lot of concerns about those pieces of property. If there was 50% of a development put aside for a homeowners association, that it would be misused or even tried to be taken out of any kind of association and sold or redeveloped. I know that's still would be hard to do, but the board's just, that's a hard no. And so I didn't want to kill the open space thing.
Right. I'm not against the idea of it.
I get it, and you have your concerns, but I'm just letting you know where we're coming from and how we got here. I guess I'm saying that in the future, if it seemed to work out better to make the homeowners association thing, if we could get maybe a legal opinion that we really felt would keep that locked in tight, that it could never be developed, maybe that's something that we could put back on the table. But it seems like there are a lot of options here that wouldn't necessarily make Concom the custodian of it. But, maybe there is one. We don't want to turn off anything until we, if we see a development, I'd want input from everybody, because maybe one would work better for a resource area and preserving, as opposed to another one that would be perfect for a park if it was flat and already a field.
It depends on the size of the parcel. And I think
Absolutely.
the smaller the parcel gets, the more, I wouldn't like to see the homeowners association taken out completely, especially if it was a smaller parcel. The larger the parcel gets, the more you gotta watch it, probably would be my thought. Anyway,
Well, I look forward to hopefully either seeing comments or seeing you at that meeting.
okay, I will. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Well, it's not scheduled yet, but I think our next meeting date would be the 8th of April. We don't have anything planned, but if we wanted to get together for more discussion, keep that date in mind.
Sure.
Right, so any final comments, anyone? Questions, opinions? No?
I see our next meeting date is the 12th of April, just to
The
clarify.
12th? All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's the second Tuesday. That's right. All right, then, do I hear a motion to,
Where's
I
John
can't-
LeBlanc? For the motion.
Motion to adjourn. Mark,
There you
thanks for
go.
attending.
Second it.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
What was that again?
Aye.
Thank you.